Today we're incredibly excited to have with us an artist who has been redefining the boundaries of bluegrass music with his masterful guitar playing and heartfelt storytelling. His record Home earned Billy Strings a Grammy in 2021, and he's gone on to play with the likes of Chris Thile, Bela Fleck, Brian Sutton, and many others. Billy has been a student here at Sonora Guitar Intensive for almost a year now. He came to us originally to work on expanding his harmonic vocabulary and continue to deepen his knowledge of theory.
I gotta say, just because I found it off an ad and stuff like that, and something in the back of my mind thought it wasn't gonna be as good as it is. And it's better than I thought it was gonna be.
In today's interview, Billy shares his journey, the highs, the lows, and the passion that drives his music. He's also going to delve into his relationship with practice and some of the techniques and insights that he's picked up over his career.
And after I learned Donna Lee, I was kind of thinking...
More than anything, Billy is just a very down-to-earth musician and has a way of bringing this joy and humility to his craft.
I don't know, I've literally made it this far just winging it. And I think we all are. We're all just trying to keep our head above water, right?
Whether you're a seasoned player looking to refine your skills or a beginner seeking inspiration, I think you'll find this conversation deeply relatable, and hopefully it'll inspire you to pick up the guitar and put some time in the woodshed today.
Oh, here's fucking William Von Stringingham or whatever, just talking shit, but it's great. I love those guys. I've always just played, I was raised around a campfire picking and going to bluegrass festivals, and it's just, pick up the guitar and pick tunes, and I've never really sat there and worked on it. And it's just, I've always played by ear. I don't know any theory stuff. I've always kind of, and that's the thing. It's like I've progressed into a point where I'm, in sessions with Chris Thile and Bela Fleck and, and Edgar Meyer and people like that who are really have a vast knowledge of harmony and theory and just all of these things. And I've been in those sessions feeling like, like an infant in the middle of the room, kind of pretending to know what everybody's talking about. Even just like in band practice, like my fiddle player and banjo player and stuff, I think they both went to Berkeley. And so they have some knowledge, and the other guys do too, enough to just say, yeah, okay, like you on the third and you're on the fifth, and, and I'm like from that bluegrass school of like, if it's just like there's lead and tenor and baritone and it's just like what you just kind of hear it. I don't know, but now knowing like what those actually are, it's easier to sort of tell my band members what to sing if we're trying to find harmony or something, so like I said, once again, it's just I have a opportunity to apply this stuff directly, and that's really good. And what I was saying to Rob the other day is like, now that I just kind of got going here and started kind of practicing more deliberately for the last 6 months, and I've seen some progress, and I've learned some new chords, and they've slowly started to come out during moments of the show when I wouldn't expect it. Or I was telling Rob, like the other day I was playing this Bye Bye Blues tune, and I've always played it kind of like, cowboy chords and sort of just jumped around a lot. But the other day, me and the band guys were just sitting around picking, and I was able to kind of get through all of those changes in like 4 frets with like, the chords that I've learned from Rob, the shell voicings and stuff. He's just great, by the way. I mean, I'm sure you already know that, but he's fucking amazing. Like, he's amazing. And he's got me learning this stuff, and then I'll learn it, and he's always got a reason why I'm learning it. Like, I'll learn something, and then we'll take what I've learned and apply it in a way that I could, take it off and do my own thing with it. So I'm not just like learning these solos, because who cares about that? Anybody could learn somebody's solo. But to figure out why that solo was played that way, and to be able to take the lick and maybe play it in all the different keys and just take a solo like that and mine it for licks and figure it out. That's the stuff I really loved about, Tony Rice's playing, is that he was like in the bluegrass world, but he studied Coltrane and knew all this stuff, and he had all these really nice voicings. And so when we're playing some tune that's like either just improvisational, like we're just kind of jamming, or if it's more of like some David Grisman kind of feel thing, like dog music or something, like, you know, new acoustic, like not really jazz, but almost.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Man, it's nice to like to be able to pull from some of those chords instead of, you know, I mean, before I think I was just trying to like, I would just get kind of lost, you know. It's like I have my root note and it's almost like I'm just playing a power chord or something, and then I'm like having to do math. I'm like, okay, that's my root, and it would just take too long for me to do the math, and then the next chord, like, oh fuck me, you know. So it's,
Yeah.
but the thing is like I really like this, and I really want to get better, and I feel like this is really helping me get better, and you know, I didn't really know how to get better on my own. In fact, you know, this is perfect for someone like me because, you know, I'm somebody that like can obviously play, and I've made a career out of it, you know, like you know, I've like, and that's the thing too, is it sucks to like almost know that I really don't know what's going on, and I'm like winning Grammys and shit, and I'm like selling out venues, and it's just like, and you know, and then I go to a session and I'm just like, I don't know what a harmonic minor is. I don't know what that means, you know. And then it's like, but I can sort of hang on the song. Like I don't know. I've literally made it this far just winging it. And I think we all are. We're all just trying to keep our head above water, right? Like when we're in a
Sure.
song or in a jam or whatever, we're all just trying not to drown. But it got to a point where felt like I was fooling myself or something, or just I started getting real sick of that. You know, it's like, man, you need to like put in some work. Like you're supposed to be a professional musician, and like you don't even know what this shit means. Like I feel like if I'm a professional musician, I should know what all these terms mean. I should know the chords. If somebody gives me a chart, I should be able to just read it down. I can personally tell you that when I'm on stage and I'm improvising and I feel my limit of where I really am, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly trying to push past that, but I'm scraping my knees, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I'm falling flat, and I'm fucking, and that's the other thing too, is I want to really raise the bar of where I'm actually at so that I could play like I am right now at a lesser, you know, percentage of energy. You know, if I'm getting to the point where I'm like wanting to reel in my amount of tension and physical tension and stuff with singing and with playing. I've noticed that when I'm doing good and I'm practicing and I'm sticking with the program and I'm sticking with Rob, my technique's better. I don't fall into those ruts as much. My fingers are in shape. I feel like I got more fluid, you know, range of motion. When I fall off and tour gets in the way and I'm on a tour bus and then I get on an airplane and oh shit, I didn't practice yesterday and now I'm at sound check and we got to do a photo shoot before the gig tonight. So man, damn it, now I haven't practiced in 2 days. I go back into these defaults where I feel like I'm playing with bad technique, and I'm, you know, like almost like hurting myself and stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
just, when I'm practicing, I can sit here and practice, you know, pressing on the fretboard nice and lightly and making sure I have good posture and everything's good, you know, and when I'm doing that all the time, that crosses over to the stage a little bit.
You raise a lot of good points. You know, even at your level, you know, playing with some of the greats, it is about raising the ceiling on what's possible. And you can hear it in some players like Brian Sutton is like this. He's studied jazz clearly. So the ceiling's really high. So he has a lot of terrain that he can explore outside of traditional forms. Obviously, Grant Gordy's like this. Julian Lodge is like this. Chris Eldridge is like this. The topography is much broader for them. So, you know, opening up jazz is not going to like sterilize your playing. It's going to allow you to see more vantage points. And I'm curious, what were your intentions coming into the program? What did you expect when you're coming in? And yeah, why did you ultimately like make the decision to do it?
What initially hooked me was really an ad on Instagram, and it's crazy because you know, I'm not usually the kind of person to like follow something like that, but it seemed to speak to me at the time exactly what I was like feeling, and I didn't really even know how to express it, but when I heard the word plateau, I was like, yes, that's what I'm on. I'm sick of hearing myself play the same old shit. I love all the licks I know. They're my best friends. They got me to where I'm at, but they need some new friends. So yeah, it was really to do exactly what we've been doing, is to break out of that sort of funk that I was in of not learning and not practicing and just kind of recycling and playing the same stuff over and over, and um, getting into different territory, and having I knew that like having somebody to keep me accountable was like a big deal, and also just when I looked into it, I think I saw the ad and then I went and I watched like the video that explains the whole thing and the science behind the repetition, the spaced repetition. That was interesting to me, and I was like, that makes sense. And
Mhm.
that's something that I really enjoy about Sonora, is that the star system. That's really cool because, it works great. I some of the things I'm like, yeah, I got this down. And after a while, it's like, we're going to stop showing you this. And then it's like, focus on the things you need to work on. And it's really how it comes up is just great, as far as, so I think that's really great. It was almost like getting a gym membership or something. It's like, dude, you have to do this to like get healthy. Like you got to get your act together and buckle down and practice and get better at guitar, because otherwise, what the hell are you doing?
I'm curious if there were any surprises. Was anything like different than your expectations?
I gotta say, just because I found it off an ad and stuff like that, and I didn't know, something in the back of my mind thought it wasn't going to be as good as it is. And it's better than I thought it was going to be. For real. So it's great. And especially, like I said, I kind of almost can't picture my life without Rob now, because he's just great. He's like one of the best players ever, and like an even better teacher.
Are there any other like big sort of insight moments that you've had over the last 6 months that have affected your perspective on guitar or your musicianship?
I mean, definitely just the general idea of a more deliberate practice. Um, Not just kind of thumping around on the guitar, like I did for the first 30 years of my life. Check this out, man. One day I was on tour and and I don't know if this is going to really answer your question, but I just think you'll like to hear this. I was on tour and I was procrastinating. I was just doing everything I could do besides practice. Like I'm in my hotel room. I'm like, oh, like I probably need to go like down to the mall and like buy some new underwear or something. Like, like just I was just making up things in order to not practice. And I was feeling like shit about it. And I'm like doing all this other bullshit. And I'm like, man, you need to go back and practice. You need to go back and practice. Like, you need to practice for at least an hour today. Like, you have to. So I was all day long, feeling like that, kind of like a jerk for not practicing. And I get back and I get my guitar up and I start practicing. And I'm like 35, 40 minutes into practicing. And I'm like kind of having so much fun that I had this moment of like, oh shit, what was I supposed to be doing? And I was like, no, this is it. This is what you were supposed to be doing. And I was just like, man, that's so good for me to realize that the thing that I'm harping about on myself all day is like fun, you know? It's like, what, you don't want to have fun? Like, why not just pick up your guitar and start, it's not scary. It doesn't hurt. It, it's like, what the hell, man? Just practice.
Yeah.
Like, again, it's not scary. It's not like a huge dedication. It's like I can wake up in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, sit down for 20 minutes, do a little bit, go do something, come back, pick up my guitar after lunch for a sec.
Rob was telling me that you recently worked on a record as well. I'm curious if any of the stuff that you were working on with Rob showed up on that record. Maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I don't know if Rob told you about that, but there's totally this tune that I wrote really based around this kind of pattern. So yeah, there's like this this little, he taught me this.
Oh yeah, the ninth arpeggios.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the directional picking too. Nice. Yeah, you got the
Yeah.
right hand together too.
So, you know, there's this tune, it's like, we recorded this whole tune, and it's got this part in it that has this change that's like, and after I learned Donna Lee, you know, I was kind of thinking, so just playing that like over, you know, it's like I was doing this whole thing the whole time, but there's this part where I have to do it over chords that are changing. And then I wrote this tune like right after learning Donna Lee and then learning that pattern. And so that was like a direct exercise that I felt like was similar to, you know, how it's like I'm playing this. You know, like there's this one Daryl Anger tune that we do called Key Signature. And before I was kind of doing it with like these sort of power chord things. And we just started playing it the other day, and somehow I just started playing different voicings, and I was like, whoa, that's a cool chord. And I would like go up and I would just kind of guess like an inversion, and it would actually work. And I was like, holy shit, like you can play that chord there. And you know, it's just when that stuff happens, I'm just like, wow. And I'm like such a dork too. Like I'm like telling this stuff to my band, and they're all just looking at me like, yeah, dude. You know, like we know. Yeah, that's an inversion. Like we know. And I'm just like, well, dude, I don't know, and I'm fucking excited about it now. It's cool. And then like my mandolin player, he's like a straight up bluegrass dude. You know, like he cuts his gig. He's bluegrass as they come. But he just makes fun of, you know, I'm like practicing some jazz thing, and he's like, oh yeah, here we, you know, or if I'm practicing Bach, he's like, oh, here's fucking William von Stringingham or whatever, you know, like just like talking shit. But it's great. I love those guys. But but it's also
Cool.
cool to, you know, like when I'm on stage and I'm jamming and somebody's taking a solo, and I'm kind of getting with the bass player on some shit, and I'm using those voicings, and I look over and he's like I hear you using them new chords, you know. It's like, fuck yeah. So it just feels good to feel a little progress, because it got me out of feeling so shitty about myself, you know.
Yeah.
But like I also have come to terms with how long it takes, how much work I have to put in, and you know, this stuff isn't going to appear within my playing overnight. But I have been, you know, that being said, you know, I wrote a tune with something that I learned from here, and also these chords are starting to appear too. So some of it's showing up sooner than maybe I had even anticipated. I'm not trying to rush it. That's the thing. When I go on stage, I'm trying to just go play. But that's exactly it. When I'm just going and playing, and all of a sudden I play some chord, and I'm like, holy shit. I never would have played that chord 6 months ago. I didn't even know that chord. You know?
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
it's exciting. It's exciting, and I love it. And it's really cool. It's a really cool program. Like I said, the spaced repetition thing is awesome. I love the star system. And that's the good thing too, is just like knowing that it's there, and knowing how much more of it too that I have. It's like I look forward to the next several years of this, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's just great, and it never ends, and it's just it's awesome. But I finally found a way to kind of get myself to learn, you know. It's great though, you know. It's feels good to keep sharpening the edge, and I just want it to turn into, you know, a habit. And I've realized too, you know, since I've started this program and stuff, the access that I have to so many people. Like, I think, you know, like Chris Thiele, for instance, like he talks to me about practice. You know, we talk to each other about, you know, he's like, he likes to like record himself playing and like see, you know, a lot. And you know, it's like, listen back to the gig or something, and if he feels like his timing was shitty, then he's going to spend some time with the metronome. Or if he feels like he was singing off key or whatever, he might even jump around and do some jumping jacks and then try to play and see if he could sing and record himself. And also, like, recording yourself is a really good thing, because that's another thing I like about with the Slack thing with Rob, is recording my, you know, just having to make a video. It's like, because I'll film it like 20 times before I get it right, but it's like, oh dang it, and I'm like, okay, almost got it. It's like, okay, this time, you know, and then you have to like listen to yourself after it, and it's like you don't really want to send it unless it sounds good. And one of the things that Thiele said was, you know, like when we play, like we almost hear what we want to sound like more than what we're actually sounding like. You know, you hear like what you think you want to sound like, and then you listen back to the tape, and it's like, shit, that's not what it sounded like. You know?
Yeah.
So to record it and see how much you can get it to actually sound like what you want it to sound like.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah, we're myopic. We can't actually, even at a high level, you really can't hear what's happening in real time fully. That's why recording is so important. Yeah.
The Slack thing works out great. Everything we've worked on is all in there since day one. So that's really good. It's like those other things, I never felt like I really wanted to stick with them. Like, but this thing, when I don't do it, I'm like pissed at myself. Like, man, you need to stick with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, super cool, man. I'm so glad that you've had a good time in the program and that you're getting a lot out of it. It's obviously that's why we're doing this thing here. So appreciate you trusting us and trusting the process. And I'm glad. I also want to be Rob when I grow up. So I'm glad that you're resonating with this teaching style and having a good time, man. Is there anything else that you'd want to share around anything or any questions you have?
Like I said, I'm proud to be a student in the Sonora camp. I think it's cool, man.
Oh, right on. Well, it means a lot. And yeah, glad you're here. Looking forward to continuing to help you, man, in any way we can. So keep me in a loop if you need anything. I'm on Slack. That's like Slack, or I'll drop you a text as well if you ever need anything. Just like hit me up.
Nice. All right.
Cool. Awesome. Great, Billy. Appreciate your time, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Thank you.